Why I feel in the face of all the problems in the world impotent, and why I somehow cannot manage to transform I. Now here we get to the real problem, because we're always telling each other that we should be different. Now I'm not going to tell you that tonight. Why not? Because I know you can't. Nor can I. That may sound depressing, but I'll tell you it isn't. It's very hard. But everybody, you see, who is at all sensitive and awake to their own problems and human problems, is trying to change himself. We know we can't change the world unless we change ourselves.
Good morning, everybody. Well, we're still dealing with this rather ridiculous Bitcoin parabola, and it seems like we've got the holy price, 777.7. Hopefully it goes to 77 cents. Cross your fingers. Let me know if it does. And I think we're finally getting enough compression on the micro time frames to at least set up some short-term mean reversion pivots, right? Since the longer this trend sustains itself, the more force is going to be required to sustain that trend, right? If we take a look at the previous Bitcoin bull run, we get some rather interesting pieces of information, right? Because as price continuously increased in this parabola, so did retail interest. So did the constant buying of Bitcoin, right? If you have excessive mass, all you need to do is continue adding force and you'll be able to sustain the trend. So, volume is actually going to be a big help here, down on, say, the 15-minute chart for actually identifying where exactly these pivots have formed. And hopefully, if there is enough of a pushing power to actually sustain price here. So we have fragmented mass readings on the 15-minute chart. If you look here, if you lower the resolution by going to a higher time frame, those will actually consolidate because the data points will shrink. So let's try the 1 hour real quick, and we're still getting fragmenting, so we'll do the 4 hour chart as well. Beautiful. Right, so the benefits of this is your mass is consolidated so you can get a more accurate macro level reading for mean reversion pivots. The downside is the resolution is lower, so it's potentially less accurate, although only by a small amount. So we want to take a look at the 200 period. That's really convenient. 200 period is the default on this chart. If you take a look at this bad boy right here, right, 200 period, and the 200 period for this band is, well, it's the purple band, right? So technically I'm not going to consider a long-term trend over until a 16% drop. Now, what's important to note is yesterday, the mean reversion pivot was a 20% drop, right? It was down here. So in a short period of time, of a single day, price has barely moved, and our mean reversion pivot just got 4% higher, right? That's the nice thing about volatility theory. Scenarios will slowly make themselves more apparent the longer you wait and the more the chart manages to develop. So, again, our mass reading is also going to continuously expand here as well. And, you know, once you finally start getting into these higher periods, because of the higher periods you go onto, the less affected you are in the initial reduction. I would almost, I don't believe it's actually a logarithmic curve onto where exactly the 1.25 standard deviation ends up. But shorter periods, like as seen with the 50 here, and here is the 200 period here. And I think I'm going to load up a third band just to prove a point, right? So double 50 is 200. And then the distance between those 2 points is currently 13%. That's not really a relevant value at this time. I'm just doing this to make an interesting point about the nature of volatility theory here. So we're going to load up this band on the 400. So we doubled 50 to 200, and now we're going to double 200 Oh god, it's multiples of 4. Okay, so we're gonna do this one as the 100. Okay. So the distance from the 50 to the 100 is 6.5, and then the distance from the 100 to the 200 is currently 7.7. And now I want to take a look at 800, right? Because we doubled 50 and then doubled 100, and now there's 800. And then this mean reversion pivot is 15% away from the previous doubling. So, a bit of a tangent. Wow. The point I'm trying to make here is, as our longest overexpanded periods increase, the distance of the mean reversion pivots lower as well. So when you will have this slowly increasing mass reading, which happens during times of parabolic trend, because when you tag extreme values, you cause the overexpansion of a lot of higher periods, but as the nature with higher periods, they take longer to develop, which is why we get these weird sloping readings on 3D Wave PM. And part of the reason why high resolution is good. Like, if you'll always notice that kind of rounding feature on our plumes of mass. So let's go back to the 15-minute and see if we can at least identify a short-term mean reversion pivot, because it looks like we have entered a short-term consolidation phase here on Bitcoin, and it was probably tradable. We want to look at the 180 period. Okay, let's check it out. Also, I've been a Muse fan for like 10 years, and I haven't listened to the album Hullabaloo. So, I'm going to do that today. I don't know how I missed it. So, initially we thought we might be able... We actually watched this develop. We had the mean reversion pivot a little bit lower because, again, it slowly develops over time. And we tried looking for a potential short here. We did not take one, because the candle did not close inside the mean reversion pivot. And then we wanted to see if there would be a CCI roll down. There wasn't, so we didn't enter a short. Now, it's important to note here, eventually the condition did activate with a few candle closes inside, and even here would have been a good short location where we start seeing that lower low and a break of support. What's important to note about mean reversion pivots is they're not really hard pivots. They're more of areas where conditions change. And the reason that's so important is because if you short as soon as you enter the band, well, obviously you're going to get screwed, right? So it's a condition and not a signal. That's why you wait for signals to enter what the condition tells you. And I was asleep, so I didn't get any signals. That's too bad. It was a potential short, but hindsight is 2020. And now for Bitcoin, we've entered a compressionary period. So what's important to note is last time we had a mean reversion pivot, it was the 120. And I'm just going to show you what I mean here, because this is compressionary periods are one of the most valuable parts of the trading strategy. When you enter the 1.25 standard deviation of the longest overexpanded period, like this location, price will trade laterally as defined by the 1.25 standard deviation until its relative mass reading on the longest overexpanded period reads below a 0.7 value. So we get lateral trading as defined by the compressing range that we identified by looking at 3D Wave PM. And lo and behold, price does in fact stay inside the compressing range until, if we load this up and look at the longest overexpanded period of the 120, right? Price turns, or rather, excuse me, the longest overexpanded period sheds its mass at this location I'm just going to draw a vertical line here so I can see it when I zoom out. It's not quite right. There we are. So, wow, that actually shed a lot faster than I anticipated. So in theory, we could have caught this bounce, but anything else, the compressionary range, technically did not have to hold. It is better for trend if price sees a longer period of compression, but the bare minimum required amount of compression is the 0.7 value, and that was definitely hit in this particular instance, right? So longs are possible on the bottom edge of that compressing range, but after it goes below 0.7, we would not have taken a long here because downward trend is technically possible. However, due to the nature of the parabola, you don't want to short just because the pivots don't imply downward action, right? That's what's important to understand. Just because a support won't hold, it doesn't mean you should trade against the trend, unless, of course, it's the mean reversion itself, right? There's a difference between being in an active mean reversion condition and then the support evaporating. If the support evaporates, well, you still need downward pressure, as compared to, say, a mean reversion condition like here, where price will be drawn to the center of the band and into a compressionary period, simply because it is the path of least resistance, right? This is the gap in macro level order flow. That's what compressionary periods are. When you have sustained buying pressure, when you revert inside its relative mean reversion pivots, macro level players lay off the buy signals so that it sheds mass and the required amount of force to continue pressing price reduces. So we are now inside another short-term compressionary period as defined by the 180. So we'll get that defined. Beautiful. And now we will trade laterally as defined by this band here, which is compressing around price. And if for some reason we do drop down to the bottom edge of this band, a long would be very nice, simply because price could not reasonably push outside the compressionary range. And in the same sense, shorting from the top edge of the band would be viable as well. But again, betting against trend is not a good idea right now. Really, if you want to enter a longer term short position, you want to see downward net expansion. So in all reality, we have just entered the flagging period of Bitcoin. We have just entered the bull flag, if that's what you want to call it. I don't want to call it a bull flag because I'm not 100% convinced we can go any higher above the 3.2 standard deviation on the goddamn daily chart, right? However, due to the nature of parabolas and expansion, those extreme values typically only matter once you have significantly high readings of mass for that relative period. In our instance, we're using the 53.2 standard deviation. Right, since when you tag it from a place of compression, all it does is expand and represent trend, and it's not technically an extreme value. However, because we already technically had a period of expansion and we are still seeing those extreme values being tagged, any kind of bearish confirmation at this time would send us into a long-term compressionary period like we previously saw from the previous downtrend. This downward move here generated a lot of mass, and it entered a very long compressionary period that resulted in a lot of lateral trading that lasted for about 110 days. So now that we're getting the same kind of upward net expansion, it's not unreasonable to believe we'll see that same retracement and another compressionary period. Now, what's important to note is we cannot yet define the mean reversion pivots for the compressionary period, so we cannot define the technical range, or rather the pivots of that range, until the mean reversion pivots actually define themselves on our macro TS. With that in mind, still I think the best thing to do right now is sit back and do nothing. Again, on the micro time frames, we're now in a compressionary period, which just means flagging. And if we're going to flag, well, you can't really make predictions on that other than, hey, I think it's going to stay in a range at the top of this extreme value, and that's not very good trading. So by looking at the micro time frames, maybe we're going to cross that longer term mean reversion pivot we showed on the 4-hour chart. But again, that's still 16% away. So again, my prediction right now is just going to be a short lateral move, maybe for the rest of the day. And then it is either going to have to break up or revert down to the relative mean reversion pivot, which again, its period keeps on getting well, rather the slope keeps increasing, but the period keeps increasing as well. So with that in mind, really nothing I can call 100% at this time. I am keeping an eye on a few altcoins. If you're feeling particularly strong FOMO on any altcoins today, I do feel obliged to show you their daily charts. Okay? Because when you have these significant trends that has lasted, oh, how long has this trend lasted? This is a 140-day trend, okay? Do you believe that a 140-day trend is going to end exactly at this candle because some positive news came out? Sure, maybe it will, but I don't recommend betting on it until you get some kind of bullish confirmation. And to be honest, attempting to push price up here would require an unrealistic amount of force. So most likely we'll see retracement, and any lower lows would imply trend continuation. Again, if you want to attempt a quad CCI trend re-entry, hell, quad CCI is one of the most powerful trend identification tools that I have. Really, whenever you have significant weighting on one side of the quad CCI and your shortest period rolls down, that's trend entry, right? So we would have gotten shorts here, here, and now we're waiting for this roll down as well. Let's actually set an alarm, because I'll probably call this short, because entertainingly enough, our mean reversion pivot is miles away. Or our longest overexpanded period is still around 300. And let's just point out how far away that pivot actually is. Right, 300 period. Oh, goodness. That's a lot closer than I realized. Although it's kind of interesting to see how nice that pivot's been playing out. Okay, well, if we actually go any higher here, we might actually end up in a bullish scenario. However, again, trading the trend is still preferable, as we've realized on Bitcoin this week. So, quad CCI, either wait for the roll down, or if we actually make a higher high above this 300 period pivot, we would want to see a 30 period CCI roll up. So I'm actually going to set an alarm for both, okay? So we want to watch quad CCI. We want to plot crossing down the 100 value. Create. And then we're going to do another one for the bullish scenario if the positive pivots actually do sustain themselves, which is going to be the quad CCI again. And we want to watch... I have to change the value of plot 2 to 30. Right, 1/10 period of the CCI. Okay, so a 30 period CCI roll up would actually result in a bullish scenario for us, and I'm going to show you what the 30 band looks like, just so you guys know how far away it is and the required condition I would actually need for me to consider longing XRP. Okay, price needs to roll up above the bottom edge of this teal band here. So sure, it's going to aggressively expand and then come up. So really that would be a lateral move on XRP's part for a bullish scenario. And then again, it would look like this on the CCI, where the blue line would actually need to come all the way down and then roll back up right there, which essentially that pivot is here. So again, that the bullish scenario pivot is going to rise rather rapidly over the next few days, but again, it's still going to be a time-consuming process. So immediately I'm looking for a short. If the short fails, well, we're going to be provided with a pretty good long position. And at this time, that's another 22% to the upside. But bearish conditions are still active. We're directly on top of the pivot. We're seeing some high price volatility there as well. So we actually need to wait that one out, okay? So let's go ahead and create that alarm now. We want to see quad CCI, plot 2. This time it's going to be crossing up the negative 100 value. I'm just going to do Litecoin in a minute because I'm actually currently short on Litecoin, and Litecoin is still one of the coins performing poorly this week, and I'm pretty happy about that. Okay, Hooray, active downtrends and long-term mean reversion pivots are still active. Really, it's clean. I'm going to stay short. We have a lower low. Trend is sustained. Might come up, might roll down again. Who knows? Who cares? It's a downtrend. That's all I have to say for you trading view, folks. It's been a pleasure. Talk to you later. Nice. I feel particularly well spoken today. That's good news. Also, guys, recently I learned that it would be cheaper to rent a hotel in Bangkok, like a luxury hotel, every single day of the week, and then just live there for months. It would be cheaper to do that than it would be to live where I currently live, renting an apartment for a year. And that just blows my mind. What I kind of realized this week, like, what am I doing here? I mean, I like the mountains. I mountain bike every day. But I could be saving more money. I'm the thriftiest person I know, just out of habit. Right? I was a music student, for God's sakes. Before I got into trading, funds were pretty tight, all things considered. But to realize it would be cheaper to travel the world, that's a realization, let me tell you. Right? You can rent a hotel, a nice hotel, for a month for like $500. Or stay in a hotel, not rent, excuse me. Hey man, this is one of my favorite range trading charts. This is Scalper's Paradise, let me tell you. I would actually use the MFI to scalp this. Actually, no, I would not, because the volume. This is a very low cap coin, and any kind of volume weighted tool is just going to get murdered. CCI isn't the best for it either. What oscillator do you think would be good on this chart? Oh, this is a pretty nice microphone. Did you just hear my back crack? God damn. What do I think about bread right now? Dude, I think it's a volatile range, and you should try to trade it. Like, I actually have some pretty old templates that you could probably try out here. Lynn says, if you travel all year long, you don't even need to pay taxes. You know, I know very little about that. But I like it. Is that true? Like, are you saying that, like, the government won't want your money because you're not in America? Or do you mean you don't have to pay taxes because nobody's going to find out? Because there's a big difference on those two things. This is called oscillators. Oh, this is literally a trading view default. No. Oh, I know what we can use. We can use, like, my baby chart. This is pretty good. God damn it. I actually have it bookmarked, I think. No, I removed the bookmark. Oh no, my old color template. Guys, what do you prefer? The old color template, this one, or the current one? Right, this is the new one. Oh, wait. Let's just refresh the page. Like this old color template. I cannot believe I had the background lines on for so long. Curva says, I spent 8.5k euros for 2 months in Thailand, LOL. Stop getting so many massages, Curva. God damn. Like, you don't need that many. Anyway. Bread. As PewDiePie has said many times, I am bread. Yeah, I don't really have a good way to range trade this. Trend line, ooh. We could use a pitchfork, oh my god. It's gonna be an inside pitchfork. Should work though. Pretty damn close. We just need to find the right high. Probably that one. There we go. That's actually pretty good. I'm surprised how well that worked. Curva doesn't even deny it. He just says, yeah, but it was nice. Come on, Kirby. You're supposed to get defensive about that kind of thing. Actually, you know what? That really helped perspective. The pitchfork really did a number for this. And it's actually correctly drawn too, which is a miracle in crypto. Pitchforks are a great tool if you don't know what you're doing. I swear to God, if you just use pitchforks and nothing else, you'll do fine, right? It's a channel training as long as you adjust the edges for volatility and use an oscillator to catch the swing highs and swing lows. And honestly, this chart is aesthetic as fuck. I'm gonna save this. Let's go to the 4-hour chart. It's a damn nice chart. Sure, if you can get a positive oscillator roll down in the bottom quarter of the band, that's going to be your golden ticket, I'd say. Or you could just layer buy orders as well. You do introduce more risk that way. But if, say, you were to layer buy orders down... Oh, that's not as volatile as I thought it was, like 8%. You can probably do pretty well for yourself, too. My red flag here, though, is Bitcoin's about to enter a longer compressionary range. You want to see where those pivots end up, right? Because it implies you're buying back into Bitcoin to enter the altcoin. And just in terms of USD value, is it possible that an altcoin is going to outperform Bitcoin's drop? And that's where a lot of the concern comes in for me right now. Okay. So I lost my car key last week. I had to pay $200 to get it replaced. And I just got a text that it's ready to be picked up. So I gotta probably make plans to figure out how to do that. Because I need to get to the mountains because I have cabin fever. What's Link doing? God damn. I do not like this chart at all. Oh, it's actually in a mean reversion condition if I recall correctly. On the 6-hour chart is what I had it set to. 300 period. Yep. Oh, it might actually be completed. It's interesting. Hey, didn't I have an alarm set for this? Pretty sure I did. Yes, I did. Why didn't it trigger? I just said the second plot was the 30 period CCI. That should have ran. And we'll actually be able to visualize it like this pretty well. Okay, watch this. Oh, Cat! I had a really cool idea. Would it be possible... Cat, if you're watching this, I hope you're watching this. I had a really cool idea. Would it be possible to make the mean reversion band, except it shows a secondary Bollinger Band on the 1.25 standard deviation that's just a tenth of its period. So I don't have to constantly adjust my CCI and period here. Right? Because that would be really cool, since it would actually streamline the process of finding CCI rolls quite a bit if you could just visualize it on the band. That would be awesome. Let me know. It's a very nice... Oh my god, Serrano's died. You need to post how your time TA works before you are allowed to make any more predictions. Swear to God. Number one pet peeve of all time, people making predictions without explaining them. Like what really got me today was him saying Bitcoin is going to resume its trend in 30 minutes and offered no other information. Like, oh, cool. How does that work? And he just said, oh, I study Bitcoin a lot. I just kind of know these things. Ooh, and it set me on fire. So I'll probably ban him today if he can't explain why he made the prediction. Because I've warned him at least a dozen times. I'm exaggerating, maybe 6 times. But that was at 9 a.m. And, well, it didn't happen. So he likes to talk about his winners, but nobody wants to talk about their losers. Nobody likes that. And I've done my fair share of talking about my losers this week, so thank you for sticking around. Viewership's really good today, and I appreciate your attention. I'll probably turn my camera on for tomorrow's live stream. I've just kind of been lazy. I didn't really want to dress up in a suit every day. But I'll do it for you. It's worth it. I guess we could try to short every major altcoin on BitMEX. Can somebody make me a watch list with all the current pairs? Because I'm lazy. Let me know. Great Day says hi. Yes, sir. Hello. I disagree personally, but thank you. Lucian says thanks. You guys need to like give me some actual comments so I can figure this out. And Lynn, you need to elaborate on what you mean by I don't have to pay taxes if I travel, because it's becoming a whole lot more appealing if you actually explain yourself. Great Days. The live streams are recorded. Even if you miss it, you can come back and watch it again. Still salty about the TRX short. Shorted here. Contract expired here. You've heard this, but still gets to me. Hey, Great Days. If you hit the notification bell, you'll get actually notified that when the live stream goes live. So you're probably already subscribed, but do hit that notification bell so you are aware when I actually go live, please. For your own sake. All right, YouTube algorithms don't do it. So. Oh, Lynn says not working for you. Okay, man. U.S. and Eritrea are the only countries with tax based on citizenship. Cool. I guess I'll do my research. Thank you, man. Well, giving you guys long enough and not seeing any new requests, so I'm going to call this one a wrap. Okay? It has been a pleasure. I'll talk to you folks tomorrow at 1 p.m. You have a beautiful day.